Hi, I'm Kirstie.
And I'm Josh.
This week we talk about how to film lightsabers.
So is it hard to make lightsabers?
If you're trying to make a visual effect that looks as good quality as it does in a feature film, then lightsabers are probably the simplest one that you can do and get it to a really, really good quality.
It's a little bit harder when it comes to post-production. There's no automatic or magical way for these to be added, but the process is pretty simple. And when it comes to filming, well, it can be hard, but experiment. Make something really short, try out the effect, have some fun with it before you go and make a 5-minute short.
So what can you make your lightsaber out of?
Well, most people start with a broomstick. I mean, everyone's got one around. It is wooden, so it can splinter and is maybe not as hard wearing as something like plastic rod like modelers use.
With regards to the handle, you can always create one yourself using something like a silver torch, or you can just go onto Amazon and get something really cheap for about $10 and just reverse engineer it.
When it comes to the colour, if you've watched any of the behind the scenes in the prequels, you'll see they had blue ones, they had green ones. We actually recommend white. It's what's going to stand out the most on your footage when it's in fast motion.
So should you use practical lighting for your lightsabers?
Well, if you go by the original films, the answer would definitely be no, they didn't use it at all. But once you got to the prequels, they mixed it up a little bit. CG characters were illuminated by the lightsabers, whereas non-CG characters were not. And then if you look at the Force Awakens trailer, they've definitely added some post-production lighting onto the characters and it looks awesome.
So for your first short film, we'd suggest don't bother, just focus on the other stuff. One other really important thing to note is that lightsabers don't look very good against light backgrounds. If you think about the Death Star and the wood scene in the new Force Awakens trailer, it's all really dark and the lightsabers stand out. If you have them against a light background, they're just going to look really bad or they're going to disappear completely.
So how do I create an amazing lightsaber ignition?
The first mistake you can make is to have the lightsaber stick in shot and think that you can just remove it in post-production. While that is possible, it's just going to be an absolute nightmare.
There's a couple of tricks here for a great ignition. One of them is not to show it at all and then just do it with a sound effect. It works for so many things and they use it in the films. Another option is to actually do the real effect, which means you want to keep the handle in the shot the whole time. Those two ends of the handle will give you the reference for where the saber's meant to go. And there's a great tutorial about that done by Axel just here. This bit, not there. Here. So how do I choreograph my fight?
Firstly, please don't aim for the head. You don't want to be hitting each other in the face. It's just asking for trouble and we don't want you to hurt yourselves.
Secondly, break it down. Don't try and do like a 1-minute shot. Break down the choreography into 2 or 3 second chunks and just film those.
Thirdly, practice again and again. You want to start off really slow with your choreography and then once you've got it down, then you can start to speed it up. If you find that you can't speed it up that quickly, then maybe you need to simplify your moves.
There's 2 camera tricks here that can really help you and they're both to do with shortening the perspective. So firstly, let's move in really close on the action. You're not going to be able to tell when the lightsabers aren't hitting so cleanly because they're going to be out of shot quite a lot and the visual effects are going to cover up most of the problems. If you want to go a little bit wider, position yourself behind the actors. Again, this will shorten the perspective between them, so it'll look much more like they're really swinging for each other. Once you get really confident, and I mean really, really confident, you can try those really beautiful wides like you saw in The Phantom Menace.
Remember that your characters are supposed to be fighting. They shouldn't be just flailing around lightsabers meaninglessly. Do remember that they are trying to kill each other. So there you go, now you've got all of the tools you need to make great lightsabers, but if you need a little bit more inspiration, we've got a couple of ideas for you.
So this one's an old fan film, but when it comes to choreography, it's probably the best, and it's called Art of the Saber. It has a long intro, but do watch through it, because if the films had had action like this, they would have been so much better.
Another one that we want to suggest is Jedi A-Holes by Freddie Wong. It's a comedy take on the normal lightsaber battle, and this is an example of where the narrative really, really works, and the effects don't have to be that good because you're so invested in the characters anyway.
So you want to watch the greatest lightsaber fan film ever made? It's Ryan vs. Dorkman 2. It's amazing. It's quite old now, but the effects, they're still like the best lightsaber effects I've ever seen. He cuts through walls.
He drags lightsabers through water.
And then he like flicks sparks up into the other guy's eyes and there's chopping off of hands and all sorts of stuff. It's amazing. Go watch it.
So if you've got any questions for us, then leave them in the comments box below. We'd love to know what you thought of The Force Awakens, or you can hit us up on Twitter.
And if you haven't got any software to be making your Star Wars fan film, we've got you covered. We've got completely free software. It's called HitFilm 3 Express. You can get it here. Do subscribe. We're putting out new content every week.